Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're going to try and untangle a massive puzzle coming out of Nigeria's oil sector. It's a real head-scratcher. How can billions and billions of dollars be spent on national refineries that produce, well, absolutely nothing? Okay, so picture this. Nigeria has 4 state-owned oil refineries. Over the years, just a staggering amount of money has been poured into them. But here's the heart of the matter, the one big problem. Despite all that cash, they just don't work. All right, so let's really dive into this. To wrap your head around what's going on, you first have to understand the sheer, jaw-dropping scale of the money we're talking about here. Just look at this number. That's over $1.5 billion. And get this, that was the budget to fix up just one of the refineries, the one in Port Harcourt. You had similarly huge sums for the ones in Kaduna and Warri, and yet for decades, they've all been pretty much silent. So what happens when your own refineries don't work? Well, it means a nation that is literally rich in crude oil is forced to import the very fuel it needs to run. And as you can imagine, this frustrating situation has now boiled over into a major public and legal fight for answers. People want accountability. Now, this huge national issue is starting to zero in on one person in particular. At the very center of this storm is one high-ranking official, and that man is Mr. Adedapo Segun. He's the chief financial officer of Nigeria's state oil company, the NNPCL. His job, his role, puts him right at the heart of the company's finances, right where the money flows. A group of ethnic youth leaders and lawyers have decided to take a pretty significant step. They've gone ahead and filed a lawsuit at the federal high court, and they are pointing the finger directly at Mr. Segun over these failed refinery projects. And what's really fascinating here is just how clear and methodical their demands are. I mean, they're not messing around. They want him removed from his job as CFO, then they want him arrested. After that, a full-blown investigation by the country's anti-corruption agency. And finally, prosecution. It's a very clear, step-by-step legal strategy. So, as you can probably guess, when allegations this serious are thrown around, a very strong, very vocal defense has emerged to push back against all of it. At its core, the lawsuit is basically saying that as the CFO, Mr. Segun oversaw financial deals that, well, really need to be investigated by the authorities. And here's the other side of the coin. His supporters are framing this in a totally different way. They're calling it a malicious smear campaign designed to destroy the reputation of a man who they say has built a distinguished career on integrity. And his defenders, they're getting specific. They're calling the claims baseless and politically motivated. And they make this one crucial point. His name isn't on any official investigation list from the EFCC. And they say, that's not some accident. Their whole argument is that every transaction was done by the book. And he's a competent professional who should just be left alone to do his job. So it's really, really important to understand that this very public, very personal legal fight isn't just happening in a vacuum. No, it's all playing out against the backdrop of a much larger federal investigation into this whole refinery mess. You see, Nigeria's anti-corruption agency, the EFCC, is already deep into a massive probe. They're looking back at years and years of spending on these refinery maintenance projects, digging into things like over-invoicing, inflated contracts, you name it. And this isn't just paperwork. They're getting results. The EFCC has already recovered over 5 billion naira and $10 million from various contractors and officials. And they're not stopping there. Word is they're working to get billions more back. This chart, wow, it really gives you a sense of the mind-boggling sums the EFCC is digging into. There's that $1.56 billion for Port Harcourt again, but add to that $740 million for the Kaduna refinery and almost $660 million for the one in Warri. These are the kinds of numbers at the center of this huge national probe. And just when you think it couldn't get bigger, the investigation keeps expanding. Now, the EFCC is looking into brand new allegations of contract inflation, this time for about $40 million, all tied to buying equipment for these projects. So, where does all this leave us? Well, we're basically watching a high-stakes standoff between a very loud public accusation on one side and a quieter but absolutely massive official investigation on the other. You really have two completely different stories here. On one side, you have the accusation that a top official needs to be held accountable for the failure of these billion-dollar projects. But on the other side, you have the defense that a good, competent professional is being unfairly targeted by a political smear campaign. They can't both be right. And that really brings us to the big question at the heart of this whole story. How do you actually get accountability in a situation like this? Does it come from public pressure, from lawsuits that drag everything out into the open, or does it come from the slow, methodical, behind-the-scenes work of an official investigation? This case is a perfect and very, very expensive example of that ongoing debate.